You're a guardian angel and designer. Did you get what the f is you talking about, man? You are not from Harlem. Why do you keep thinking that you are from Harlem, bro? You are not from Harlem. I did not grow up with you, man. Do you remember how we met? Pause. Not met, how you got cool with us? Basically, you heard our freestyles. And you came up to me one day when I was chilling in front of the house. You said, yo, man, I heard the freestyles. Y'all killing shit. More freestyles come out. Y'all heard the new shit you did. Children of the Corn, 12-minute freestyle. Mase, Camron, Cardan, DJ Clue. Google Bloodshed and Camron, Children of the Corn, freestyle. Are you at any of these places? No. You was not there, man. You wasn't there.
I was the CEO of Diplomats. I made Diplomats with him. I was with him for every bit of his journey. I held him down. I took that position of holding him down.
What if the man you built an empire with wasn't who you thought he was? Camron just dropped bomb-level allegations, accusing Jim Jones of lying about his Harlem roots, faking his come-up, and stealing credit for a legacy he had no part in building. But that's not all. Cam says Jim was never part of the Dipset origin story. You was a fan. You wasn't there. And what happens next might just change the way you see Dipset forever.
You wasn't there. You was a fan. You begged us. You are a fan. A fan.
It all started with a podcast clip. Just a few words from Camron, but enough to make the streets talk. In the clip, Cam questions Jim's Harlem identity and mocks his past, saying he was never part of the real foundation. For years, Dipset stood as a Harlem legacy, flashy, unapologetic, untouchable. But now, Cam is peeling back the curtain, and what's behind it might ruin that image for good.
So you gonna sit around and act like you've been around all this Harlem shit and everything? You ever see somebody from Harlem try to act like they from Harlem so bad that you gotta keep saying, I'm from Harlem? From Harlem know who's from Harlem. You don't have to keep saying you from Harlem. Yeah?
Mase need to go on a diet. He need to get his life together. He need to go to the doctor and get a physical. He look terrible, bad body, back ass. He look big around the neck, waist look crazy. I'm body shaming this. You heard? He need to go get his shit together, get on the treadmill, do some push-ups, do something. You heard? Especially for playing with me.
Yeah, listen.
Back in the 90s, Harlem was a breeding ground for raw talent. Mase, Camron, Big L, Bloodshed, freestyles echoing through stairwells, mixtapes passed hand to hand like street currency. Cam recalls one key moment, standing outside his crib, chilling, when a kid came up praising their freestyles. That kid? Jim Jones. Cam says Jim wasn't part of the early cyphers. He wasn't there for the 12-minute freestyle with Children of the Corn. He wasn't in the booth with DJ Clue. He just heard the bars and came running. You begged to come around.
Listen, man, listen. You were fanned out and you begged to come to your house after you heard all these mixtapes. That's how you got in. Mase actually taught you how to rap. Literally. He taught you how to rap.
Mase taught me how to rap.
You say it. We taught you how to rap. How you ran the whole organization. How you made Diplomat. Yeah, you ain't make none of this stuff. You was a fan. That's how you got down originally. Period. I heard the new shit you did. Yo, you want to come through? Come through. Why? Why are we going to Jomo's house? So yeah, I would bring some bitches over there sometime. A little crack maybe.
They know what I've done. Dance around it all they want and shit like that, joking, but they know if I get upset, it's gonna be a real problem.
Get out of here.
He was a fan, Cam says bluntly. Not a brother, not a partner, a fan. Cam accuses Jim of pretending to be Harlem's heart when he was never truly in the mix. He mocks Jim for constantly repeating, I'm from Harlem, saying real Harlem dudes don't need to say it. Everyone already knows. The message? Jim Jones was never part of the foundation. He came later, as a hanger-on, hungry to be accepted. And Cam never forgot it.
Every nigga that put hands on you or you get to take you cool with him. You tried to chase French Montana out the game, that ain't work out. Y'all got cool. So cool that you go to his video shoot, pardon me, not his video shoot, his movie. You're sitting in the crowd watching the premiere and they dissing you in the movie. You in the movie getting dissing, you gotta eat it, just sitting in the crowd. Nah, they dissing you in the movie that you went to go see, bro. Every nigga that do something to put pressure on you you sit there and work it out. But when they got a little genuine heart for you and all that, cool, that's the pattern. If they don't put hands on you, then you can keep going on and on and on. But the niggas who do this, you cool with, and then the niggas who try to handle it sophisticatedly, you keep going on and on like niggas give a f about all that shit, bro. Niggas don't care about none of that shit, man. Niggas don't care a little bit, man. What I'll finish with is this, man. I'm never here to downplay your character. As much as you try to degrade my character for years and push me under the bus and say, I ain't start this and I ain't do that, and you started Pink and you made the Diplomats, which is just, do you ever hear me talk about when you ran on me when BMF pulled up? When you ran in the hotel, they chased you to the beach. Yeah, they chased you to the beach, you was in the sand. You was getting wet from the water, from the ocean. I don't pump that. I don't pump all that shit because I ain't trying to make the great your character. You know why? Because the revolution was televised. That's why I'm here. That's why I gotta work like that. That's why me and Murder is here. The revolution was televised. Because you talking about.
This shit ain't no game. They can't play with me too much. I give them the floor to do that because that serves me no purpose. I got too much to worry about, too much to do.
From there, things got ugly. Cam didn't just question Jim's background, he humiliated him, body shaming, calling out his health, saying Jim needs a doctor, a diet, and a treadmill. And then Cam takes it even further. He mocks Jim for being publicly disrespected, even calling out a moment when French Montana allegedly dissed Jim in a movie, while Jim sat in the crowd watching. You got dissed on screen and had to eat it, Cam sneers. At this point, it's no longer just a beef, it's a full-blown character assassination. But then, the story flips.
Stop tricking out their freedom, bro. This is gonna be the last time I address this. Whatever you got to say after this, good luck, I wish you luck. I got other shit to do. This is not on my motherfucking place. Believe what you wanna believe, because I got other things to do. You feel me, Murder? I ain't wanna snap on them nose, but yeah, I'm good.
Here goes some popcorn, Stat.
Jim didn't stay silent. He clapped back with quiet confidence, but laced it with truth bombs. In his words, there is no Dipset without me. Jim claims he was the muscle, the one who made sure Cam could walk around Harlem untouched. According to him, Cam was the artist, but Jim was the protector. The blood ties, that was all Jim. The gang affiliations that gave Dipset its street power, Jim again. While Cam played superstar, Jim made sure the streets respected the movement. I put Dipset in front of Cam. That's what Jim said, and that's where the story gets deeper.
What was your reaction when Camron brought up all these old stories and everything about you?
I laugh, man. I got this thing, man. People laugh at the lies, but the truth always hurt. You know, lies are more entertaining. You heard? You get to laugh, you get the joke, but the truth is a serious thing, no matter how you look at it. The truth is what the truth is.
Mase taught me how to rap, and Cam always made sure I was on every single album he had. He was like, boy, once you figure out how to rap the same way you act in these streets, it's gonna work for you. Just keep going. And that's all so I always gotta give credit to where credit is due and shit like that. It would be no Jim Jones.
You know, the internet gets kind of crazy with the lies. The lies are going crazy on the internet.
I mean, well, the lies start from a narrative, and the narrative starts from a person, and you just gotta look at it like that. But I've never been one in my life to care about clearing up no rumors. Like that just take time out my day for making money. I know who I am. I'm very comfortable in my skin. I stand 10 toes down on everything I believe in. I don't change my pivot, and everybody knows that. I mean, as you can see, I would not be here if I did anything else but be me.
At first, Jim played the background, the enforcer, the capo, the loyal second in command. But then came Ballin. That single changed everything. Suddenly, Jim wasn't just a hype man, he was a star. Headlines shifted. Fans started seeing him as the face of Dipset. Cam? He didn't like it. Sources close to the crew say that's when the dynamic cracked. Cam was used to being the main attraction, but now he had to share the spotlight. And when Jim went from standing behind Cam to standing beside him, then in front of him, the tension exploded. It was like Sammy the Bull becoming John Gotti, one insider said, and Gotti didn't like that one bit.
I was at Jim album release party, and everybody was over there with Jim, and Cam is standing over here with like 3 or 4 people just looking on and couldn't believe that Jim is the guy. There's no Dipset without Jim. Jim is the gangbanger of the crew. Cam is not a blood. I don't even know if Joel's was. I doubt Freaky was, right? But the set, it comes from the gang, right? All the gang all ran under Jim.
Right.
All of the muscle was Jim. That wasn't Cam. You know what I'm saying?
Cam was like the Jay-Z.
Cam was the artist. Jim and Cam were partners, so to speak, but Jim took the role of being the underboss, the muscle, to make sure that Cam could function and move around and not have a bad reputation or you be getting robbed and all this other stuff. So Jim put he stood front line for anything in regards to Cam, and then he put Dipset in front of Cam.
Cam and Jim history go back before me. You understand what I'm saying? When I met Cam and Jim, they were super close. So I honestly don't really know Jim being from the Bronx and all that. You know what I'm saying? When I met them, they was in 5H, which is, you know what I'm saying, Jim's apartment, and that's, you know, like, I guess that time was after all the stuff Cam had said already with the Children of the Corn and Jim, you know, whatever he said, you know what I'm saying? So, like I said, when I got there, Cam and Jim was like this, super tight. Mase wasn't even in the picture. I don't know Mase like that, you know what I'm saying? Every time I seen Mase, it's been a mutual, you know what I'm saying, respect there. So, you know, that's what that's been as far as me and Mase, you know what I'm saying? As far as, yeah, when I met Cam and Jim, they were already Trump tight and locked in. You understand what I'm saying? The Diplomats was already a name they had. You know what I'm saying? I don't sit there and claim I made the dip, so that's not something I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I made Dipset though, the two. Yeah, I did that. You know what I'm saying?
Today, Cam and Jim keep it civil on the surface, but anyone watching closely can see the tension. Whether it's awkward podcast interviews, icy body language, or backhanded compliments, the beef still simmers. And when old stories get revived online, from BMF chases to Dipset origin claims, the truth gets murky and the drama gets hotter. Because one thing's for sure, they both want credit, but only one can wear the crown.
The wedge that became between Cam and Jim is Jim's success. Cam always looked at him as being the star, Jim being capo. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's kind of like Sammy the Bull becoming John Gotti. You know what I'm saying? Gotti's probably gonna feel a little way if Sammy becomes the main man. You know what I'm saying? And in that situation, that's what it is. Jim started to grow as an artist. And as he started to grow as an artist, he started moving from standing behind Cam to he started standing next to Cam. And then it got to a point where he stood in front of Cam. Mm-hmm. And Cam was looking him over his shoulder like, yo, what you doing? And then that built the animosity. And by the time Ballin' hit, Cam had a gang of animosity and internal hatred. And I know, because I seen it, I was there. I felt like he was a fucking hater because like I felt like he was supposed to be happy for Jim. He was under the wing. Jim was the muscle. You get what I'm saying? Jim he's Cam's partner. But he's taking a step back to play the muscle.
What if Jim didn't just rise? What if he planned it? Some say while Cam was the face, Jim was quietly building the muscle, the loyalty, the real street power. And by the time Cam noticed, Jim was Dipset. Not beside him, not behind him, above him. And the craziest theory, Cam saw it coming, but couldn't stop it. Which makes you wonder, was this betrayal personal or strategic?
But now people got these platforms where, you know, they asking people, so it's like a thin line. So then you got Jim, like, it's just like people say, you can't respond, even though Jim wasn't attacked, his name was mentioned. You understand what I'm saying? So now it opens the door for Jim to say something back. That's what happens, you know what I'm saying? With these podcasts and like that. So it opens the door, and Jim chose to, you know, say why was on his dick. You know what I'm saying? That's how Jim chose to carry it. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, Cam chose to carry it the way Cam chose to carry it, and you have what you have now. You know what I'm saying? All I can say is Jim and Cam are very competitive. You understand what I'm saying? They've always been competitive, and it got to the point to where, you know, they had to be competitive against each other. I really looked at podcasts the other day. I was watching a bunch of podcasts. I'm like, it's crazy how all these old stories are getting everybody into so much trouble. These are just be old stories. Even like all Cam said was something. Nothing. He said all that on a live he did before, or pretty much like he did. You know what I mean? With him and Jim had some words. You know, they weren't on the best of terms years ago. So you know, it's just new to the new listeners. You know what I'm saying? And the new internet fans and the new people that are on, you know, these podcasts and listening to these podcasts. So, you know, this is just like a double back of something that happened a couple years ago. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, this again. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of, like I said, you know, because I have my own issues with, you know what I mean, behind the scenes, or whatever the case may be. We all probably have our own issues behind the scenes with whoever, but you know.
So, who really built Dipset? Was Cam the mastermind? Was Jim the muscle? Or was it all smoke and mirrors? Let us know in the comments and tell us who you believe. And if you think this drama is wild, wait till you hear who just got exposed for stealing millions behind the scenes of another rap empire. Tap here to watch the dark secret behind G-Unit's breakup next.